you like a lot of ceremony, then you might like something like, say Gardnerian, which has very strict guidelines. If you don't, then you might want to be a solitary where you can do your own thing, or you might want to choose, say, something like Scottish witchcraft or one of the other traditions, which is much more laid back. But the thing is to be patient to find the one that is right for you. You shouldn't have to compromise at all in religion. You shouldn't have to compromise in Wicca. If you find a coven and it's the only coven you've found after perhaps a long search, then yes, join it if you can get in, if they'll take you in, to get a taste, to get a feel, and to get contact. But if it's not all that you want, then don't feel that you've got to stay there. Don't be afraid to leave it and to carry on searching. Don't be taken in by a lot of these pseudo-covens. Don't be taken in by people who say, yes, they will initiate you, but it will cost you so much. They will charge a fee. There should be no fee for being initiated into witchcraft. Do not let anybody make you do something that you wouldn't normally do or that you wouldn't feel comfortable doing. Don't be coerced into anything. I think these are the main things. Certainly read all that you can. There is so much out there now. When I first came to the craft, there were only 2 books that were actually written by a witch. They were both written by Gerald Gardner, Witchcraft Today and The Meaning of Witchcraft. Today there are hundreds and hundreds of books, many of them written by witches, many of them written by non-witches, but many books on the subject. Read all that you can and make up your own mind. Decide what is the good, what is bad. Read the good and the bad, and you'll quickly decide which is which. So read as much as you can. Keep searching for as long as you can, even when you found what seems to be the ideal situation. Still continue to look around. So I guess that's basically it. To read as much as possible. Don't compromise and don't be discouraged.
Okay. Well, it's my belief that solitary and temple work both have their place in the life of a well-rounded witch. So I won't ask the question in the form of one versus the other, but what do you see are the main benefits of solitary, and what do you see as some of the main benefits of temple work?
I agree with you very much, Rapid, that we shouldn't put one against the other. It's not solitary versus coven or temple. They're 2 separate things, 2 separate ways of practicing, and both equally valid. I do think, I agree again, that I think everyone should have a taste of both. Some people like solitary work and prefer to stay with solitary work, but it's good to have the experience of coven work to see if perhaps that is good for them as well. And they can always go back to solitary, and vice versa. If you're with a coven, then it's nice to do some solitary work and see whether or not you might prefer that. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. The obvious ones, I guess, are that with coven, with temple witchcraft, you are more regulated. If you're one of these people who really doesn't like to take on responsibility, doesn't like to be in a position of authority, then you can just be sort of one of the group and go along with things and be guided, being told what to do, and so on and so forth. And a lot of people do enjoy this, so this is good. It's also in coven work, if somebody, say, gets very angry over somebody else, not necessarily another witch, it might be a situation at work or whatever, but if they get very angry and they think that perhaps they want to work magic against this person, we know that this goes against the Wiccan Rede. So with a coven situation, you've got all the other coven members, plus, of course, the priest and priestess, who will dissuade you from trying to do something like that, who will talk you out of it, who will show you around, show you other ways ways of approaching it to settle the situation. As a solitary, that then is a negative, in that you don't have that sort of safeguard. If you're very quick-tempered, if you are inclined to get upset and get angry at people and want to strike back, you haven't got that safeguard as a solitary. On the other hand, as a solitary, you can decide what you want to do and when you want to do it. As regards ritual, you can do the sort of ritual what you want to do. You can do a particular thing one time and something quite different another time and something quite different again another time. You're not stuck in with what a coven would say is the procedure for that group, that tradition. So there are pluses and minuses for both coven and temple and solitary work.
Okay. In many paintings of the Christian Satan, he is depicted with horns. Do you feel that this was done to cause children to acquaint Satan with the horned god of the hunt, Cernunnos, and then cause them to fear him?
It was eventually the two were equated by the church in order to make him look bad, to make the god look bad. But okay, originally, where did the Christian Satan get horns? Well, the Christian Satan was originally Lucifer, who was the angel of light. And as with Lucifer, as with many of the saints, was depicted with an aura around him, a halo, if you like. The halo was a symbol of the brightness, the glory coming from him. It was the energy, if you like, rising from him, and especially from a very, very sacred person. There's a statue, I believe it's by Michelangelo, of Moses. And Moses, when the statue is depicted with horns. And this surprises some people, but the reason is that the original, I'm not sure whether it was the Hebrew or the Latin or the Greek, but the original word for horns was very similar to the word for rays. And so when the scripture spoke of rays coming from the head, somebody at some time, certainly leading to Michelangelo, mistranslated it as horns coming from the head. That's why Moses was depicted with horns, and this is why the horns were finally depicted on the Christian Satan, Lucifer. The horns came from the halo, or from the aura that emanated from him. Now, for the longest time, for about the first 1,000 years of Christianity, this new religion, Christianity, existed quite happily side by side with the old religion, the pagan religion. Gradually, the church tried to convert people across to it, tried to convert all the pagans. This went on, as I say, for 1,000 years, up to about 1,000 CE. There were some priests who were Christian priests at the weekend, leading the Christian rituals on a Sunday, and yet they were pagan priests during the week, leading the pagan population. But around that time, around 1,000 CE, the church began to get a little frustrated. It could no longer convert people. It had been trying and gradually converting more and more, but it seemed that saturation point was reached. So then it was decided that if you couldn't convert anyone to Christianity, then you should destroy them. This way only the Christians would be left. And it was about this time then that the horned god of paganism and of witchcraft was equated with the Christian devil or Satan. Since the Cernunnos, the god of the old religion, was horned or antlered, and he was, of course, just shown horned or antlered simply because originally he was the god of hunting, and the animals hunted were horned or antlered. So this is why he was. So he was equated with the Christian devil, Satan, Lucifer, because he had horns as well. And it was done to make it look bad, to make it look as though if these pagans were worshipping this horned god, then obviously they must be worshipping the devil.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just wondered because it just seemed like there was this whole propaganda period there where...
Absolutely. Yeah, there was. course, I mean they also had the propaganda of witches riding on broomsticks, which, as you know, witches rode